Hello there, Mysterious Miss Screen, and welcome back to Discovering Buffy. So we're on season 3 now in the Bible packaging. Now these are all lovely. So we got proper books that you show all the episodes and has synopses, and we've got the discs. The pages, you can hear them. They're pretty hard to move without thinking you're gonna snap it, but I just love these Bible sets. They're really nice. So season 3 then, yeah, I thought season 3 was a pretty strong season overall. I mean, it's really good. There's a run of episodes towards this won't go back in. There's a run of episodes towards the end that are just like, it's hard not to keep watching once you hit like episode 15. It's hard not to keep watching up until the end because the arc is so strong and involving, and I think I like season 2 a little bit more because it had much more of an emotional punch. Season 3 didn't have the emotional punch to it, although it was amazingly strong. I think season 2 just had all those heartbreaking moments in it, but season 3 is very just underneath season 2. It's really close. There's not much in it at all. So let's get through it. Let's have a look at the episodes in here. So we got Anne. Anne was a pretty good episode. We've after the events of Becoming, we've got Buffy living on her own, having run away, and what I find really nice about this episode is Buffy and the Scoobies never interact at all. It's all either the Scoobies on their own trying to slay vampires on their own, or Buffy on her own. It's quite cool. We get the return of Chanterelle from Lie to Me, which if you've seen my season 2 video, you know that Lie to Me was one of my favourite episodes of that season. So seeing her back is a plus. Go away, Fly. My Bible set. Go away. Yeah, just a really, really strong season opener. It's sort of... Season 3 feels very different. It's shot on a higher film stock, so... it's of a much higher quality. There's a certain tonal change to it. And it perfectly sums up the nostalgia of... and sort of... fear of leaving high school that I think is really nice about season 3. Yeah, it's great. What can I say? Episode 2, Dead Man's Party. This one gets a lot of hate. I really enjoyed this one because from the last 20 minutes are basically the Scoobies having an argument, and people hate it for that. People say it's really not nice and the Scoobies are quite out of character. See, I really like seeing some conflict there. Xander is not in the right, but you can sort of see where he's coming from. Of course, it's Oz, the wonderful Oz, that has to try and break it up. He says, right, I'm going to have to step in here. And, yeah, it's a really cool little insight into the Scoobies' relationship and how they're pretty pissed off at Buffy. Strangely enough, this episode is censored on the UK DVDs. There's a bit where Giles tries to hot wheel his car. There's a really abrupt edit. It just sort of cuts, like, the music jumps, and there's a massive judder in the footage, and it's clear. Watching this, I went, something's been censored there, and it's basically they've taken out the shot of him actually hot wiring the car, so it cuts. He opens the car, then it cuts to him having already hot wired it. So it's like, this set's rated 15 anyway. I understand if this was rated as 12, but it's like, did the BBC really think cutting that small shot of Giles hot wiring the car would give him an 18? It's imitable behaviour, isn't it? Also, there's a shot where I think it's a headbutt. Someone headbutts a zombie, and that's been cut out as well. But I didn't notice that as much because I don't think the footage jumped around as much. Faith, Hope, and Trick. We get the introduction of Eliza Dushku as Faith, and Eliza Dushku is fantastic in the role of Faith. It's nice to get. It's clear. It's so painfully clear that Kendra was a test run. Faith is what the writers of the show clearly wanted Kendra to be, but clearly that didn't really work for obvious reasons. Cheek fied. So it's sort of like, okay, Kendra's dead. Kendra got killed off in Becoming, so now we get her successor. So there's still 2 Slayers, and we get her successor. So Faith is that successor, and it's the parallels between the two are really fascinating to watch. And I'll talk more about Faith as the season goes on. Beauty and the Beasts, not great. It's one of my least favourites of the season. Xander is like, something that really annoyed me. Now I can't remember exactly because it's been a while, but Xander, he's supposed to be watching Oz, right? And he falls asleep, and Oz escapes, and that's where the whole chaos of the episode comes from. Now, if I remember rightly, Xander doesn't get much in the way of punishment or anger from the rest of the Scoobies. He just sort of gets a dirty look here and there from Willow and Giles, but it's not like serious, and that kind of annoys me because he is responsible. He could have been responsible for a bloody massacre, and he never gets punished for it, which is annoying. And in general, Xander in the first sort of half of season 3 up until the Zeppo, I'd say, he really annoys me. He really annoys me to a degree that he didn't in seasons 1 and 2. I think there's an episode, I can't remember which one it was, but it's when, I think it might be Homecoming, when Buffy's with Scott, and he says something to her, and he goes, "Yeah, you little slut," and it's like, dude, calm it. Don't, like, obviously Buffy isn't fazed by it, but it's like, I don't, that comment doesn't sit right with me. It's just not very nice. So after Beauty and the Beast, we got Homecoming, Slayer Fest 98. Yeah, Homecoming's good. Homecoming's really great. We got, it's another example of Buffy trying to reclaim a normal high school life. So she wants to be Homecoming Queen in this case, and she's battling with Cordy for it. And sort of by this point, I really liked Cordy's character, so it was weird to see them clashing, but it was kind of cool at the same time. We get that wonderful scene where it's a montage of all their yearbook photos, which I love that so much. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And of course, we get Willow and Xander sharing a passionate kiss, and thus begins one of my favourite little mini arcs in Buffy, because it feels so wrong yet it feels so right, because I think Willow and Xander are great together, but at the same time, Willow's with Oz and Xander's with Cordelia, and it's like this can't happen, but at the same time you two are perfect for each other, so it's like it's a really double-edged sword. And it's, every time every time they shared a kiss in this show, I was like, this feels right. Then I will remember in my head, no, this is wrong. So it's yeah, and this carries on up until Revelation, I would say. I think it's Revelation. Or maybe it was Lover's Walk. Yes, it was Lover's Walk, because it ends, yeah. Ban Candy. Oh, wonderful episode. Ethan Rain's back from last season's Halloween. Episode 6 again, funnily enough. And I think, every Buffy fan knows the premise of this episode. All the adults in Sunnydale get transformed into teenagers, leading to Giles and Buffy's mum, Joyce, going out and acting like teenagers, and it's a joy to watch, and Anthony Stewart Head's amazing, and it's just sort of, he's talking like a proper British gangster, so it's so funny. And Snyder as well is amazing to watch in it. Yeah, what can I say about Ban Candy that hasn't already been said? It's a wonderful episode. It's really good. Yeah, it's one of those absolutely hilarious ones. Episode 7, Revelations. We get Gwendolyn Post coming in as Faith's new watcher. Of course, we get the revelation that Angel's back, and we know this you might see me reading this because I actually, my memory of season 3 is really shoddy, and I don't know why, so I'm just reading the synopsis here. Yeah, obviously we, the viewer, and Buffy know Angel's back because we see him fall through the portal in episode 3, and then in episode 4 Buffy finds out he's back. But this is sort of the moment for the last couple of episodes you've been wondering, when's the gang going to find out? And here is when they do, and it's brilliant. And the argument scene, the intervention scene, if you will, where they're all waiting for Buffy, and they're just like, why didn't you tell us? And it's like, you're watching it, and it's all of these characters you love, and all of them are right in their own way. They, the Scoobies have significantly good reasons for why they shouldn't trust Angel here. Buffy's got good reasons for why you should trust Angel, so it's like they're all right in their own way, and it's a brilliant thing to watch. And then after it's all over, Buffy goes to Giles thinking that, oh, he's going to defend me, and he says, you should have told me and you didn't. You have no respect for me or the job I perform. It's a gut punch, and when you see it, it's like, whew. Because obviously up until this point, Giles has been obviously her father figure, and it's been, you know, it's been a case of like, oh, he'll always stand by her, but when he doesn't in this point, it's pretty gut wrenching. And obviously in the last few episodes, Willow and Xander's affair has been going on. They've been flirting. They've been still sharing passionate kisses all over the place. And then we get Lover's Walk. Spike's back, yay! We get that brilliant scene with Joyce, where she obviously recognises him from Becoming, and he's in the kitchen, and she recognises Angel. Angel tries to stop Spike from harming Joyce, and he said, "Don't trust him, don't let him in." And then Joyce doesn't know it, but behind Joyce, he's like taunting Angel and going, and pretending to bite her and going like that. It's amazing, absolutely brilliant performance. He's a very bad man. Oh, it's wonderful. And it's interesting here that the last time we saw Spike, he was sort of an unwilling... Well, he was willing, but he was sort of a reluctant helper to Buffy. And then the time before that, we saw him with pure evil. Now he's this lovesick, pathetic little creature who's been dumped by Drusilla. And he's just depressed, and it's so funny to watch. Great episode. Really enjoyed Lover's Walk, and the time comes. We find out, Willow and Xander, they kiss again because they've been kidnapped, and who should walk in but Oz and Cordy? And it's just, when they see it, it's just I was just sat there going, okay. This is awkward, I think. Then Cordy runs away, obviously very upset, and she falls and gets impaled on a little bit of piping that's stuck up. And for a while, I thought this was it. I thought Cordy's gonna die, and I'm not ready for this. She doesn't. But they do a really cool fake out where it's not really cool. It cuts from Xander, pleading over Cordy's lifeless body, shall we say, even though she's still alive. Crossfades with really dramatic music to a funeral, and it's like we find out it's not actually her funeral. And Buffy and Willow walk on. We hear, oh, she's going to be okay then. Yeah, she's just in hospital. It's just like it's like I was so annoyed at Whedon for that, because did Whedon write this? I'm not sure. It doesn't say, but I was just like, oh, you fake out. That got me really concerned for a second there. I was just on the edge of my seat going, have they actually killed Cordy off 8 episodes into the season? But no, she's alive, thank God, because Cordy's great. And it all ends, and everyone's sort of miserable with their love life, because Willow, Xander, Oz and Cordy are all miserable. Cordy's in the hospital. When Xander tries to go see her, she says, stay away from me. Buffy decides to stop seeing Angel. She says this isn't going to work. Spike's, ironically, the only one that's happy, because he's found a renewed purpose, and he goes off singing a rock version of My Way, and that's how the episode ends. And then we won't see Spike again until season 4, so yeah, there's that. And great episode. Loved Lover's Walk. Then we have The Wish. Oh, so good. So good stuff. I always love alternate reality episodes of TV shows, because I just like seeing the characters that we've warmed to in situations that are odd and strange, and they act differently because of it. And I've always liked that. But yeah, The Wish. We get Cordelia fully recovered from her ordeal in Lover's Walk, blaming Buffy for all the problems that have happened to her over these past 2 and a bit years. And she says, I wish Buffy Summers never came to this time. And lo and behold, we get introduced to Anya, played by Emma Caulfield. And Anya is, I'm in halfway through season 4 now. She's quickly becoming one of my favourites. I think she's a great character. But in here, she's pure evil to start with. So obviously, Anya overhears, says, your wish is granted. and Cordy gets transported to an alternate universe where everything's buggered because Buffy never came, and the all the threats that have happened because of the Hellmouth, Buffy never stopped. And then we see Xander and Willow are vampires, and it's like, Nicholas Brendon plays Vampire Xander like sort of how you would expect him to, but then you get bored now, and you just see Alison Hannigan come around the corner, and she's completely different. She's got, it's ridiculous how different she is to normal Willow, and it's really fun to watch. So much fun when they kill Cordy, because that was a big thing. Like, they kill Cordy halfway through the episode, they bite her, and when they do, it's Xander and Willow like sort of. So this is Cordy, Xander and Willow are sharing, and like he puts her arm around and grabs Willow's head and pushes her into it. It's like they're kissing, but Cordy's there, and it's that sexual metaphor that's so pivotal to vampires, because vampires are obviously there's a lot of sexuality surrounding them, so it's quite disturbing actually. And the Master's back, the Master's in it again, alternate reality, so he never got defeated at the end of season 1, so it's like, oh he's back, and he's commanding this whole army of vampires, including characters that we've warmed to. Giles is sort of leading this resistance, which Oz is a part of, and it's just Angel is kept up by the vampires, and occasionally Willow goes in there, refers to him as her puppy, and sort of lies on top of him, and sort of it's really weird, but it's so good. And then the final scene. Oh man, the final scene was amazing. We get this amazing piece of music, and all of the characters we've loved for 3 seasons, and bearing in mind you are completely in love with these characters at this point, they get killed off one by one in this alternate universe. Angel gets dusted, Vampire Willow gets pushed up against a stake, Xander gets killed, Oz gets killed, and then just before the universe is reset, Buffy has a one-on-one fight with the Master, which she loses, and the Master snaps her neck. And it's incredibly difficult to watch, but incredibly impactful. It's such a good episode. Yeah, I love it. And you trusting fool, how do you know the other world is any better than this? Because it has to be. One of the best lines of the show. So good. Then we get, what's after the wish? We get Amends, which is the Christmas episode. Weirdly, the first thing that's come to my mind when I think Amends is Willow's Jewish. We find out Willow's Jewish. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to my mind. The Christmas episode, it's an angel-centric episode, so it definitely leans towards melodrama. We get to find out some more of his backstory, as if we didn't know enough from Becoming. We get to find out a bit more. I really liked Amends, but really, I think the biggest takeaway I had from it was that hilltop scene at the end and the snow. I have a thing for snow in films and TV. I have a thing for scenes where characters are just watching the snow and being together, and as a result, when the song Magic Snow plays by Christoph Beck, it really got to me for some reason. It's like all the characters there. Angel's about to commit suicide because he's so tormented almost, and he's standing on top of the hill, and it's like he's waiting for the sun to come up so he can commit suicide. Then suddenly it starts to snow, and Buffy and Angel hold hands and watch it on the hill, and Xander and Willow and Oz, who have tried to give their relationship another shot, are watching it. And Xander, who we said earlier in the episode, he said, "Oh, I'll probably be sleeping in the backyard again." And we don't know whether he's lying or not, and then we find out as the camera pans across and it begins to snow and he's in his sleeping bag on the garden floor, and it's like, oh damn, that's hard. Faith and Joyce watching it, it's just a really lovely scene. It ends with them walking down the street, and it almost looks like a scene out of a classic Christmas film. I really enjoyed Amends. Great episode. One of the more odd ones now, Gingerbread. It's got one of my favourite lines of the show.
What is this? A doodle? I do doodle. You too. You do doodle too.
I love the show. It's lines like that adore Buffy speak. I just love that line. Other than that, it's just really odd to see Joyce and all the other parents effectively trying to kill their daughters out of fear of them being witches. Amy gets turned into a rat though, which I really love, because it's a running joke that is continuously running, and we see in later episodes Willow keeps her as a pet in her room because she can't figure out a way to turn her back. So Willow just keeps her as a pet rat in her room, and it's like, okay, yeah, fair enough. I love that. I'll mention that in the season 4 video, because there's a bit in season 4 where she comes back briefly, and it's hilarious. Yeah, it was a really odd episode. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking with this one, but it's strange. Apart from You Do Doodle 2 and the Amy rat thing, there's not much to take away, really. Episode 12, Helpless. Oh man, another great one. We get to see that frequently Buffy starts losing her powers, and we get to see, we the viewer, but Buffy doesn't know it, Giles is putting her into a trance and injecting her with a drug that suppresses her powers. We all sort of think, whoa, hang on, why is Giles doing this? This is not cool. We find out that it's because it's part of an ancient test for the Slayers that the Watchers Council put on, and it's a tradition, and it's always on their 18th birthday. So this is Buffy's 18th birthday, and this is always when the challenge happens, and it's essentially she has to pass it without her powers. She has to prove that she's the Slayer without the use of her powers. And we get a terrifying psycho vampire who kidnaps her mother, and this is the first time one singular vampire to me. Forget the big bad, forget any of the sort of offhanded vampires that we've met. This is the first time that one single one-off villain has been terrifying and has been a threat and has been someone that I could see genuinely harming Buffy. Because he's just a psychopath. He's literally a crazed killer, and at the end when she's trapped in what's essentially a haunted mansion with him, it's really scary. Edge of your seat stuff. Then Giles gets fired, and it ends with a injured Buffy. She got a massive cut on her head, feeling betrayed by Giles, and he just quietly comes over to her, doesn't say a word, and starts treating her wound. And it's such a lovely ending to the episode, because you don't want to see those two fight. You don't want to see those two fight at all, because I just love it. Episode 13, the Zeppo. I love the Zeppo also. This is where this is one of those, so you could call it a gimmick episode, in that the whole episode, bar like the first 5 minutes, I'd say, it's all told from Xander's perspective. And it's sort of, he realizes now that Willow's dabbling in Wicca, she's becoming a witch. He realizes he's the only one on the team without some sort of supernatural ability or knowledge or power. So he tries to prove himself, and it's all seen from Xander's perspective. So basically, we never really find out much apart from this is the end of the world. It's like that's all we find out about what's going on. It's the end of the world, and Buffy and co need to stop it. And Xander keeps wandering in on these big battles that they're having. And he's just like, I'll let's go help somewhere else, and then we don't see it again. We don't see it, and it's like it's all from Xander's perspective. And what I like about this is that any sort of problems you can have with the characterization of the characters here, it can all be explained as, well, this is from Xander's perspective. He's not the most reliable narrator in the world, so this is probably how he sees it, rather than how it's actually happened. He walks in on a typically melodramatic scene with Buffy and Angel, doesn't really do anything, and just sort of goes, I'm gonna go. He almost gets ambushed, and Faith helps him out, and then when they go back to her apartment, Faith jumps him and they have sex, and he's just like, it's hilarious because it's all sort of played like really sensual, and this sort of stereotypical sex scene, and then like halfway through it just cuts, and she checks him out and says, cool, that was fun. I'm gonna go take a shower, and just slams the door. And it's like he's just stood there. He's like, all right. And he's just there's a bit where he gets in his car and he's driving along. He just stops and goes, I just had sex, and it's so good, so good. He amazing episode. Love the Zeppo, and the fact that he never tells anyone about it. He never tells anyone that essentially he was the person that saved the world. Gave me a newfound respect for Xander, because he could have bragged to everyone. He could have gone, right, yeah, look at me. I'm the one who did all this. This wasn't you. This was me. But he kept it quiet. He kept it quiet despite taunts from Cordy and everyone else. It's like, good on you. I didn't like you for the first sort of 5 episodes of this season, but good on you, Xander. Then we get Bad Girls. This is sort of... Bad Girls is a turning point in the season because we get to see Buffy get tempted by Faith's lifestyle. Her, devil-may-care attitude. She doesn't care about anything. She doesn't care about her duty. She just wants to have fun, slaying vampires and killing people. And Buffy gets tempted by that. She starts ditching school. She starts ditching in the middle of class, that seems really weird because she draws out... Faith sort of says, come out, and Buffy sneaks out the window while they're having a test. And it's like, where's the teacher? Where is the teacher here while they're having this test? She just walks out. All right then. It's a really good episode. And Faith kills a man. And that's the turning point for the season. This is where Buffy realises that no, I can't do this. She's just killed a man. She feels no remorse whatsoever. All right. No, Bad Girls is great. Episode 15, Consequences. Wesley Wyndham-Pryce. I think this is the one he's introduced in. I love Wesley. He's a great character. I'd like my kneecaps. He has an instant attraction to Cordelia, and it's when Giles walks past, he goes, she's a student, and then he's just straight back to careful watcher. So good, such good stuff. It's pretty riveting stuff seeing Buffy wrestle with the decision whether to tell the gang or not. Eventually she decides to, but she realises Faith's got there before her, and she's told Giles about it, and Giles is pissed off, and it's quite scary to watch. And then once Faith left the room, Giles says, no, look, you're fine. I can see she's lying. Of course she wouldn't kill a man like that and not feel any remorse. She's lying. We've got to stop her. So that's all fun. And then Xander tells the gang that he slept with her, and it's sort of like, okay, yeah, this is interesting. And then sort of Willow tries to hide her up. She's hurt by it. She's really hurt by it. She tries to hide it, and then a scene later just cuts to her crying on her own in the toilets, and I just went, oh, Willow, oh no. So I don't like seeing Willow cry. It's terrible. It's heartbreaking and terrible. But yeah, no, good episode. Doppelgängland is amazing. Oh, it's such a good episode. It's a Willow-centric episode, so I'm gonna love it. But it's like... Vampire Willow comes through from the other universe. So there are 2 Willows, and Buffy and the gang see her one night, realise she's a vampire, are distraught, absolutely distraught. There's this wonderful scene in the library where they're all like, they're just numb. They can't believe it, that she's dead. And Buffy goes, it's all my fault. And Giles is ridiculously upset. Regular Willow walks through the door, and they all rush to hug her, and so tightly, and it's like, oh, they care about their friend. This is really nice. I love the punchline to that as well. Say, you didn't have to do a bunch of drugs, did you? It's fantastic. And then they quickly discover something's up, and there's 2 Willows, and hilarity ensues. Alison Hannigan is clearly having a ball with this. She has great chemistry with herself, which is you can't say that about most actors, because she's essentially playing 2 versions of herself opposite each other. There's just it's so much fun to watch. It's one of my favourite episodes I've seen so far. It's there's a bit where they cross paths, and Vampire Willow sort of tries to turn normal Willow on, and she's sort of trying to make out with herself. And
And they get her in the cage, and a massive bit of foreshadowing happens. I've not got to the bit where Willow comes out as gay yet, but I know it happens. Yeah, I know it happens, and there's a bit where Willow's in the cage, Vampire Willow this is, and she says, she's nothing like me, she's maniacal, and I think I'm kind of gay. And it's like, and Angel's just like, well, actually vampires' personalities, they sort of stick around from their previous host, and Buffy's like, shh, shh. He's like, oh, of course. It's like, it's so good. And then I forgot about the bit where Angel comes in, having seen Vampire Willow, he's just like, guys, I've got something awful to tell you. Willow's dead. And they were like, alright. And then he's just like, hey Willow. What? It's so good. Oh, I love it. I love this show and I love these characters, and this episode is a perfect example of that. Got the classic quote, lunchtime be damned. I just, go watch Doppelgängland because it's really good and stuff. And we get to see the mayor sending someone to rid Angel of his soul. And I did not for 1 minute think that this was a ruse by Buffy and Angel. I did not for 1 minute think that this was their plan. So when that twist happened, when that twist happened, I was so glad. I think I actually punched the air and went, yes, thank God. Because once we think Angel's not got a soul, and Buffy walks in there, and soon she realises, and it looks like all the memories come flooding back of what Angelus did last year and who he killed, is sort of like, oh no. You feel the stakes. The stakes are real and high, and it's so good. Earshot. Now Earshot is an interesting one because this Earshot got delayed, didn't it? Because in wake of the terrible Columbine high school massacre. Understandably so, because this episode deals with, well, for the bulk of the episode we think it's a school shooting, and a shot in which you see a student's hands pick up, assemble and load a gun as the camera pans over to a crowd of students. I can see why they would delay it. Yeah, that's some of that in this episode was fairly uncomfortable, and it's unfortunate because of when it aired. I don't think it's the episode's fault. I don't think it harms the episode, but because of when it aired, some of that baggage was there, and it sort of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. But Earshot, the bulk of the episodes were really good because Buffy gains the ability to read people's minds, so we get we get to hear different people's thoughts. Xander's like, oh no, what am I going to do? All I think about is sex, naked girls, naked Buffy. And then Buffy, you just see Buffy's face is like, what? It's like, it's so good. Yeah, really great episode, really good stuff. It's an interesting little deep dive into some of the people's psyches. And there's a wonderful little bit at the end. We find out it's Jonathan with the gun. And he isn't trying to kill any of the students. He's trying to kill himself. And Buffy talks to him about pain. She says, you know what, I was wrong, you are an idiot. You see those people down there, those people you're about to kill, what she thinks he's about to kill. Yeah, they're screaming in the head right now. They've got just as much pain as you have. See that pretty girl over there? She's terrified. See that jock over there? You know, it's all like, it's a fantastic little speech about pain and the pain that we all feel, and how, don't judge people because they could be feeling exactly the same or more pain than you are. So it's a lovely little thing there. Then he reveals that he's going to kill himself, and it's like, I like that idea is fine, but it's sort of, what was he planning on doing? Because he is a big rifle that requires quite a bit of contortion, because he was going to shoot himself, right? That requires quite a bit of contortion to actually pull off. This is not, I'm not quite sure how he was planning on doing that with a rifle that size. It's clearly just there to make the audience think he's going to kill all the students, when it's not. But it's a bit of an oversight. Earshot's good though. Earshot's great. Just remember my favourite scene when Buffy, she hears her mother's thoughts. When Buffy starts being overwhelmed by people's thoughts, she can't control it. She gets put in bed, she hears her mother's thoughts. And suddenly you just hear, "You had sex with Giles? On the hood of a car?" It's just like a throwback to the events of Bang Candy. It's just like they're so embarrassed. And it's really good stuff. So good. I can't help but notice a certain episode of Torchwood may have ripped this off though. That being episode 7 of series 1, which is called Greek's Bearing Gift, in which Toshiko gains the ability to read people's minds, finds out stuff that she didn't like about, she didn't want to know about her teammates, which affects how she views them, and struggles to control it, and eventually decides to get rid of that power. It just lift the plot from that and put it into Torchwood. Obviously there was a difference in that Torchwood episode because Tosh was in love with Mary, but that's a whole different video. That's a Torchwood video. Choices. And choices was sort of the one. There's some great stuff in this. We've got Willow standing up to Faith despite being punched in the face. And when Faith did that, I went, "Don't you dare!" Because it's again, I adore her character. I adore Willow. But it's like, no, she finally stands up to Faith. She talks it down, which is amazing. We get Buffy worrying where she's going to go to college, because obviously she can't really leave Sunnydale because of her duty as a Slayer. So it's like her options are all limited. She's seeing her friends going off to all sorts of places. Willow's got accepted into multiple universities, but she can't leave Sunnydale. So it's all limited to Sunnydale. And at the end, we find out that Willow is willing to stay in Sunnydale for her friends. She's willing to give up all of the high caliber universities that she's been accepted in and just go to Sunnydale College with a friend because she doesn't want to leave Buffy. And when there's a bit where Buffy says, "I kind of love you," and I just sort of went, "Oh, it's so sweet and nice," and they hug and they laugh, and it's like, you two are just the best of friends, and it's amazing to watch, and it's really nice, and it really warms my little heart. It's just like, what is wrong with me? Cool episode, but it's sort of the last three, Prom, Graduation Day Part 1 and Part 2 are sort of the big hitters. So it's sort of, it's not as bad as Go Fish, where that episode completely derailed the season, completely derailed the momentum that the season was building up to the finale. But it's just sort of there, and gets from A to B in a roundabout way, where I figure you could have got from A to B in a quicker way, but I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, the Prom, it's so good. Oh, I love the Prom. Interesting thing about this, I had 3 episodes left of season 3, and funnily enough, I had 3 days left of school. 3 days left of high school. I've left high school now. I left quite a while ago now. And I watched these over the days. I watched these over the last few days of high school, and that worked amazingly, because in the last few episodes of season 3, the gang leaves high school. The gang leaves the setting that the show has used to its advantage over the past 3 years. So it worked really nicely for me. The fact that on my graduation day, the night before, I got to see Buffy and her friends graduating. So it's sort of like, obviously we don't graduate in England. It's all sort of, there are many. It's much different over here than it is over there. But on the day that I left high school, I got to see these guys leaving high school, and it felt like I was with the characters in that moment. It's an example of sort of Buffy being like, the characterization of Buffy is so good that you feel like you're a part of the gang. You feel like you're friends with them. You love these characters, that you feel like they're real, and you feel like you're there with them, and whatever happens in the show, you feel like you're experiencing with them. And that just added to it with the graduation happened. But I'm getting ahead over there. The Prom, let's talk about that. It starts off with Buffy and Angel breaking up, and it's a very, very sad scene. Very sad. Because Angel realises, look, this cannot work. I'm going to age. I'm going to go on for many, 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 many years, and I'm going to have to watch you wither and die. I won't ever be able to step out in the sunset, in the sunlight even. I won't ever be able to have a moment of true happiness with you. So he calls it off. And then there's this bit, with Willow, where Willow is comforting Buffy, and Buffy just breaks down, and she says, "I can't breathe, Will." And it's like, it's not nice to see these characters cry, because it's like she's so upset in that moment when she's saying, I can't breathe, and it's like, oh man, this is heartbreaking. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I haven't really given her enough credit over these past videos. I said I was going to get to her in season 1 and I never did, but she is amazing. She portrays so many different versions of Buffy in this show. She is a marvel to watch, and in this episode she's fantastic. So after that, Buffy just wants everyone to have a good prom, and this is one of those cases where sort of the main monster of the episode, the Hellhounds, if you will, they aren't the most memorable part. They are a setting. They are a backdrop for the characters going to prom, and the characters, the moments in this. And boy, are there moments. The Hellhounds are fun and exciting, and it's fun to see Buffy chase them around the school and say, "I hate that song," when she can hear it come on the prom radio, the prom music from inside. But what makes this episode one of my favourites that I've seen so far, this is definitely in my top 10, is the character moments. We get so many little subtle things. Cordy desperately wants to buy a dress, but she's too poor to afford it because of her family's financial troubles in season 3. So Xander quietly buys it. Xander doesn't make a big fuss about this. He just leaves it for her. He buys it and leaves it for her. As a little salute to her, because obviously they hate each other for the bulk of this season because they were dating and Xander was caught cheating with Willow. But it's a lovely moment. I just think it's hilarious to see this adorable little puppy of a character turn into something that insane, and it's so good. Go watch it. I'm waiting to get to the class protector bit, alright? And when Wesley's asking Giles about advice for Cordelia, and he's just like, for God's sake, man, she's 18 years old. Man up! And it's like, it's so good. Can we just talk about that class protector scene, please? Because otherwise it's just this big elephant in the room. Everything this girl has gone through these past 3 seasons, and she has died, she has seen heartbreak, she's been heartbroken, she's watched some of her close friends die, she has watched others die because of her, she's accepted the responsibility of her being the Slayer and the risk that comes from that, she's run away and desperately hurt her mother. So many bad things have happened to her over seasons 1, 2 and 3. But for one moment, for one solitary, fantastic little moment, none of that matters. None of that matters because this is her moment in the spotlight. We hear Jonathan get up to the speaker, and he says, "It's no secret that Sunnydale High isn't the safest of schools. A lot of weird stuff goes around here," and you just hear it from the back. "Zombies, hyenas, Snyder." It's one of the best jokes. And he just goes, "And we're all still here today because of you. You've protected us." And it's in a roundabout way, he says, "So this is a thank you from all of us." He holds up this umbrella, and on it, Buffy Summers, class protector. And the music swells, and Buffy goes up to collect her reward, and she finally gets that moment of being a normal girl at prom. And it's like, it's one of those. It was one of those moments. Like I said earlier, nothing else matters. All that's happened over the season, you know in the back of your mind, next episode's the end. Next episode, something big's gonna happen. The mayor, as we watch this, is probably plotting his plan and putting the final stages in motion. But none of that matters, because she can finally be happy. She can be happy for this tiny little moment. She gets her recognition. Giles looks on from the side like a proud father. He just gives her a little smile, and it's one of those moments where you feel like you're in the show with these characters, experiencing it again, like I said earlier, and it's forget anything else that's happening. This is what matters now. It's just one of the best scenes in the show, and it's so good, so good. In other exciting things in this episode, Xander and Anya get together, and they're amazing. Because she doesn't understand what this is, because she's been living as a mortal since the events of The Wish, when Cordy beat her. Or it wasn't really Cordy, was it? It was more Giles, but either way, when she was defeated, she's been living as mortal. So she doesn't really understand all the nuances of human interaction. Which means she doesn't understand the feeling when she's attracted to Xander, because she's never experienced this before. So we get her taking him to prom. And I can't remember the scene, but it's this wonderful scene. She goes, "No, I hate you. So can we go out? Can we date, please?" And it's like, then there's a bit in Graduation Day Part 1. She says, "Whatever. Can you kiss me now?" It's just, she's just so like oblivious to how you're supposed to interact with other humans, and it's fantastic, and she's absolutely hilarious. Again, in season 4, I'll get onto that, but I love that shot when they're linked arms at prom and they're walking together, and Xander's face is just like, he just couldn't care less, and she's going on, she's telling him about her demon days and stuff, and it's like, this is hilarious, this is so good. And then finally, at the end of the episode, they've been putting it off, but Buffy and Angel get to have their last dance. Angel turns up in a suit. He's been saying throughout the whole episode, "I don't really do prom." But again, none of that matters, because they get to have their last dance together. And it's they both know in the back of their mind that this is ending. They're not going to see each other anymore. Angel will go off to start his own TV show about a vampire private investigator agency, and she'll go to college. This is it. This is all ending, and they can have that little last dance to remember it. And it's just this lovely little human moment between a human and a vampire, and it's just, I love the prom. It's fantastic. Graduation Day Parts 1 and 2. They're both amazing bits of television. Both incredibly satisfying. Both could be the finale of the entire show. Because I think people said before, these first 3 seasons are sort of, they play like a trilogy. You have the fun beginning, the dark end where the bad guys basically win, the dark middle where the bad guys basically win and everything goes to shit, and this big cathartic third chapter where everyone comes together and defeats the bad guys, and it's like, this is what season 3 is. And in part 1 we get the ultimate battle between Buffy and Faith, which is incredible. On part 2 we get the ultimate battle between the entire school and the Master, who turns into a giant kind of crappy CGI snake. But I mean, the CGI doesn't matter. This is 1998 on a TV show budget. Of course the CGI doesn't look very good, but it doesn't really matter. Snyder dies, which was unexpected. Harmony gets bitten by a vampire, which is like, again, she comes back in season 4, but it's weird to see that. Cordy stakes a vampire. Hello. How long have we been waiting for Cordy to actually kill a vampire? She does it. It's really satisfying. What else? Wesley tries to help, but it doesn't really work, and he immediately gets put in an ambulance. And they blow up the school. And that's it. That's yeah. They blow up the school. The Master's final words are, "Well, gosh." I actually haven't. The Master. What am I on about? The Mayor. I actually haven't talked about the Mayor. He's such a charming villain. He's so fun to watch because he's so polite. Like, he just seems like a dad, but he's really evil and he wants to take over the world. So he's an amazing villain. And when the Master, I keep saying the Master, when the Mayor turns into a snake, and you think, what the hell, Buffy, what are you going to do? All these students everywhere, they don't know about this. What's going to happen? She just goes, "Now!" And they all take off their robes and they all reveal weapons, and they've all got weapons, and it's like, oh my god, this is amazing, because it's literally the whole school fighting against the supernatural threat. This has never been happened before. Everyone's getting involved. Xander and Willow, they're staking vampires left and right. Cordy stakes one. Harmony tries to help but gets bitten. students are everywhere. Oh, it's so good. And then obviously it blows up, and there's this lovely little bit at the end where it's the core Scoobies. It's Buffy, Xander, Willow, Oz, and Cordy. And they're just there like, that was it. And Oz is just like, guys, we did it. We survived high school. We survived high school, and it's like, let's just take this moment. And they all get up, and he's just like, moment done. It's just, yeah, it's fantastic. And Angel leaves, obviously at the end, he leaves the show. But to be fair, I don't feel like he's left the show, because I'm watching Angel along with Buffy, and it's like, he's still there. Yeah, but Angel leaves, and you know, we don't see Cordy leave. Cordy just goes with the rest of them, and then suddenly she's not in season 4, but she's in Angel, so it's weird. But no, yeah, season 3 of Buffy is great. It's really good. As I said, I think I probably prefer season 2 a little bit more, but I mean, season 3 is probably the more consistent, because season 3 you don't have stuff like Go Fish or Inca Mummy Girl. So yeah, season 3. Oh god, the box is falling apart. Oh well, that's what I get from getting it from CEX. Oh well. But no, season 3 is great, and stay tuned soon for season 4. I haven't finished it yet, and I don't quite know how I'm gonna do that with Angel, whether I'm gonna do a separate video for Angel season 1. I might just do a little mini roundup, but it depends how long it gets, because this is almost an hour long, and I shouldn't be rambling for almost an hour long and wasting your time. If any of you have made it through this to the end, get out and do something, please, because it's sunny outside. No, I'm joking. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like this, what was your favourite moments from season 3? Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care now.